see what we got here. It seems like we're live. I'm gonna double check the audio.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me? Hello. There's
Loud and
probably a
clear.
delay. Regardless if this works or not, at least I'm recording it to my desktop, so we'll have a copy of it.
Yeah, and you can always edit afterwards, right?
Yep.
For sure.
Oh yeah, it says I'm live. Okay, wait a second. Let me open this up, see if I can hear it. Say something. Yeah, we're live. All right, cool. Let me close this joker. Alrighty, so what's up, landlords? Renee here. I got a funny story. I'm about to have a chat with Jeremy, and about 5 years ago, he showed up on my doorstep selling me lawn care services, and I guess we had an exchange back and forth, and I have an email thread back in 2019 where I emailed him some book recommendations. He responded with a recommendation like the same day, and then a bunch of time goes by, and all of a sudden he follows up, and I thought this would be fun to go live and just, chat and just catch up and keep a document for, our future kids and stuff to look back on. So everybody, meet Jeremy.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, man. I would like to start off first with your age, college, and where do you live?
Right on. So 28 years old, just turned 28 last November. College, University of Central Florida, go Knights, charge on. Where I live right now is a beautiful place called Winter Haven, Florida, right here in Polk County, where Sheriff Grady Judd makes sure that the streets are clean.
Okay, cool. So did you finish your degree or are you still working on that?
No, I finished my degree. I did it in psychology and neuroscience.
Okay, cool.
Bachelor's degree.
So are you living on your own down there? Are you renting? You own?
It's a mix. I do live on my own. I do live with some roommates, just two of them. We live in a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house.
Okay, and you guys split the rent, or is one person responsible for the rent and you guys pay that one person?
Correct. Someone's responsible for the rent and we just pay that person.
Okay, and are all your names listed on the lease?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay, cool. So that'll help build some credit and stuff like that. Are you married
Correct.
or anything? Relationship?
No, not married. No relationship as of right now. Bachelor life as is.
Okay, do you want to get married and have kids?
Oh, for sure. It's always the American dream.
Yeah, for sure. How many kids do you want?
Man, that's a good question. I never really thought too much about it. So, I think two would be a good starting point. And
Okay, well, if you haven't thought too much about it, this is good. So let's go a little bit deeper. If you want 2 kids, do you want your wife like working? Like, will it be like a 2-income household, or do you want to like pay all the bills and just have her like stay at home and raise the kids?
I've thought about that. I've read some books about it as well as some other forums, and I have to say, I'm more of a conservative, a traditionalist about that. So her staying home to watch the kids, like my mother did for us, I think that builds a better, upbringing for the children at home. It's my opinion, but yeah, don't need dual income if I can solely put the bread on the table.
Absolutely.
Then again, if she wants to go out there and have like a part-time job, when the kids are at school or something like that, she has money for herself to buy, feminine things, that's definitely okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I really I'm kind of more traditional when it comes to that as well, raising the kids. Something a side note, my wife's a flight attendant and she has a lot of good control over her schedule. And I really appreciate the flexibility she has because we do homeschooling and she's able to kind of like control her schedule and she can pass up trips and trade them and all this stuff. So she kind of gets the best of both worlds, having some extra income to, support the household, and she's got a lot of freedom. Right now, she's took the kids to one of their classes. They do one class a week in a group and everything. That's why I got the house to myself, and I decided to chat with you. But that's cool.
Right on.
What do you do right now for work?
So I am a clinical research associate. So for those that don't know, we in the pseudo sense do work for the pharmaceutical companies. We just ensure that the drugs that are being tested, and not only drugs, but the new medical procedures as well that are being tested for general public use, are safe and secure, and that the people that are volunteers for these studies are having their rights protected as well, and as well as their safety. We just want to guarantee that everything is, done by the book, everything is correct, and that the future of medicine continues to be healthy and strong in the United States.
That's cool. So you needed that degree to get that job? Like, how did you end up in that career?
This was something that, as a kid, I've always been interested in the field of science, but at the same time, my family has been affected by bad actors in the pharmaceutical industry. So this is something I was aiming for at one point in time, and that is to help regulate the industry to ensure that those bad actors don't affect other families. So yeah, it is a degree that's required to get this position. I focused on psychology and neuroscience because I'm interested in pretty much the human mind and the brain, the basics. So that's where my focus was on, and that's where my therapeutic area that I oversee is in pediatric neuroscience.
Wow, that's awesome. Really cool. So do you have like a career progression with this, company you're working with? Are you intending to stay at this company and go up the ranks, or are you going to move lateral somewhere else but stay in the same field?
Actually, it's funny that you say that. I was just talking about this with my dad the other day, that I have this 7-year plan that I've been working on. And this is something I came up with my mentor from one of the last few jobs I had, and how to progress to get to the ultimate goal of where I would like to be at the end of the 7 years. Currently, I'm actually doing great on the progression. So yes, there's a ladder that we go up. I've actually, the pace at where I'm going is actually very fast. So I'm actually currently ahead of the curve, which is really good. So yes, there's like a ladder. Right now, clinical research associate is one of the highest positions. It starts off as a research assistant. The grunt of and for all the research assistants out there, they definitely know what I'm talking about. But the grunts of the research, they're doing the heavy packing. They're seeing the patients. They're drawing the blood. They're collecting the samples whichever orifice they might come out of. And then study coordinator, data manager, study director, and then eventually you get to clinical research associate.
Okay, so the research associate, is that the top of the ladder, or can you even go beyond that for the next 7-year goal that you got? Really?
Oh yes, the sky's the limit for when it comes to research. There's a principal investigator that at this point we're practically on the same level as, and again, principal investigator. Principal investigator is a doctor, someone who has their MD license. I am advising the doctor, on the do's and don'ts of what they can do for patients. So it's pretty progressive at this point.
That's awesome. Good on you. So what kind of salary or income are you looking at when you get up there at the end of your 7-year first goal, and then if you top out?
That is a good question. I believe once I get up there, probably salary range would be, and this is just a rough estimate, anywhere between 250 and 500,000.
Wow. You're off to the races, man. I remember I don't typically have a habit of talking to the door knockers that are selling stuff, but every so often I do. Whenever I get out there and I start talking to one, I can see like potential in some people, and then I want to give them books or I want to like email. So I don't recall the interaction. I must have seen something, and it's definitely paying off. In 5 years, look at how far you came. That's awesome.
Right on. Yeah. Went from and I appreciate the I'm a worker at the end of the day. I'm just your average guy, your average Joe, that believed in an American dream. I started from outside sweating, and I'm pretty sure I was sweating when I knocked on your door, and I saw your beautiful green lawn, and I was like, hey, I can make your lawn better. I started from the bottom, just trying to pay the bills, and then I just had a vision. Where do I want to be at? Somewhere where I'll be happy, somewhere where I feel like I've given back to my community, and this is definitely me giving back to my community. I love my community, I love my country, and I love my family. And I want to give back to everything for all that has been provided to me to make it this far in life. So, just selling lawn products. Now I'm, talking to doctors about what they can and can't do with a patient. I'm giving advice to doctors, and I'm in, these very big, board meetings with pharmaceutical company heads that, decide where they want to move their money. So I help make those decisions at the end of the day.
That's great.
It took about 5 years, but here I am.
Yeah, imagine the next 5 years of that, your 7-year goal that you have right now. You might hit that in 5 years. So
right on.
So I noticed in one of your emails when we were setting this conversation up, you said that you want to be very wealthy. So I'm curious about that. What do you mean by very wealthy? Can you define that in your perspective in your life? What are you shooting for when you say that?
So, sorry about that. No problem. The United States, the economy is moving in, a direction that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And the people that are familiar with it have definitely seen it before. I don't know if you recall at one point in time that, if you ever read in history, that the United States, that different states had their own currency at one point in time. I think North Carolina still does, but not traditionally used at all, before it became, Federal Reserve notes. And, people were prospering at that point in time before, eventually everything became centralized and we had a central bank and all of that. Prosperity kind of, it differed at that point. It started amounting in the pockets of a select few. The others, it took time for them to get it. People still do come to the United States to, chase their American dream and, get that wealth. They want, and I mean, I speak for myself too. They want the nice car. They want the beautiful wife with the smart kids that'll grow up to be, their retirement income, with the nice house in the nice area, with the neighbors that, bring over cookies and have dinner. Everyone wants that. And, there's no shame in wanting that. And there's no shame in actually chasing that. And there's also no shame in actually living that to anyone who actually lives that life. They've made it. They've gotten there. And to be able to be in that lifestyle, to have peace, prosperity, that's what I want. Simple as. At the same time, like I said before, my parents are immigrants. My dad's from England, my mother from the Caribbean islands, Haiti, actually. And my mom really cares about the people in Haiti. She had the opportunity to come here to the United States, and she made a name for herself. She built her empire and, solidified herself. And she was able to provide me with a lot of the resources I needed to, get to where I am in life. And I really thank her for that. But, it came out hard work. She only knew French when she came here in the United States, where everyone speaks English or Spanish. She also knew Spanish, but anyways, I appreciate the story that she tells me about that every time. There's a reminder, hard work pays off. So at the same time, I want to be able to provide that bridge to others who have that vision. As I'm getting to my vision, I want to be able to build a bridge for others to come here, to learn, to educate themselves, to build that prosperity. And then eventually, I do believe in going back to the home country and then building that same prosperity that's here in the United States, this great example in that country, so that everyone else there can prosper. Instead of being a refugee, they can be a helper, a builder, a creator. We can create a new world if we just work hard enough.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is the very wealthy is not a dollar amount per month or, you know, a certain net worth. So it's kind of like the American dream and, you know, giving back and philanthropy. I can see kind of some of that in your future. Seems like you got a calling for that. That's pretty cool. So you're obviously going to need money. Right now you're on the grind earning it. When you get it, what's your plan for investing?
So currently, I do take some advice from some of the financial advisors that I've worked with before. Throw it into index funds, ETFs, stocks like that, CDs, high yield savings accounts. Let the money basically gain interest at this point, but it's all just saving up money. But I do know that the big money does come with other methods.
Mm-hmm. What I didn't hear is crypto, which I think is pretty risky, which is good. And I didn't hear real estate, which is my favorite. But I'm curious. So you're currently in a living situation where you got roommates and you're pursuing your 7-year plan here. At what point do you think you're going to break out on your own and get your own place? Would you rent, or would you look to buy something? Or are you just going to try to stay with these roommates as long as possible?
So I've been living with roommates for basically most of my 20s. At this point in time, I've actually made it's already in the plan and in the works to branch off by the age of 29. And that's when I will be separating from living with roommates to just living on my own.
Okay. Do you intend to rent, or are you going to buy something?
I'm looking at buying.
Okay, good. Do you have any ideas of what you would buy, where you would buy? Have you pursued that? If you're within 1 year, have you taken any steps to kind of start moving in that direction to find a place?
Yeah, I've been monitoring the market so far. I do know that the interest rates are pretty high for mortgages right now, so it's pretty hard. It's not the best, in my opinion, it's not the best time to move in, but I do foresee in the future when the interest rates will definitely go down. At the same time, homes will definitely be very expensive. So I've been making moves on seeing where I can find either the place where I live at now, seeing if I can make a deal with the landlord to buy it off of him at a good fair price, or just basically buying a piece of land, clearing that off, and just building a house brick by brick.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I could throw some ideas at you, just some things to consider, at least from my perspective in life and the properties I bought, looking back, if I could put myself in your shoes. The first thing I would do is when I'm looking to buy a property, I would try to buy something with a landlord perspective. What I mean by is when you buy it, you're thinking of this as being a future rental in the future. So I would look for what would make a good rental property. So I'd try to look for something like a 1-story, away from busy roads, no water, no lakes, none like that. Near schools and parks, somewhere where a family will want to be. You're trying to eliminate, liability. You wouldn't want a big tree over it and stuff like that. You wouldn't want pool. You wouldn't want a really old house if you could avoid that. And whenever you go to purchase it, you should really know the area. I would get a Zillow account and rope off some area that you're looking and start setting up alerts for 1 stories, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, in a specific area, and they will send you alerts anytime your criteria is met. and you can start looking, and then you can say, okay, this is what it's going for. You maybe drive by, you know, different times throughout the day, in the morning, in the evening, and just maybe talk to some neighbors. And then you're really getting your finger on the pulse and trying to learn and study. Whenever you do eventually pull the trigger and you purchase a property, the bigger down payment you have, the better. I don't care what people say. There's a lot of real estate investors say, oh, low and no money down, and they try to get into deals, and we're taking on lots of debt. And if they are renting it out, it like cash flows like $100, or maybe it breaks even. Like, that's not my style. I would prefer to put a bigger down payment, so it's a lower monthly mortgage payment, escrow. So when I do rent it out, there's more cash flow, more room that I can collect some cash flow on it. And then you can always refinance it later and adjust the rate. So I wouldn't be so wary of the rates. That stuff always changes. And whenever you do move into it and you're living there, you're going to transition from a renter mindset to an owner mindset. You're going to think differently, and you're going to see stuff differently, and you're going to understand about maintenance for like the HVAC, and, you know, and how old is the roof. You'll think differently. There's something that happens when you actually own a house. Then as you're there, you're saving for your down payment for your next house. And what I would recommend is don't sell the first house, turn that into a rental. You have a down payment, so when you buy the next spot that you upgrade to, now you have a rental income from the first property, and it helps supplement your mortgage for the next property. And if you can maybe do that 2 or 3 times, you don't have, with your busy schedule, you wouldn't want a bunch of properties. You wouldn't want to buy a apartment complex with multiple units where you need employees. You're going to need a handyman on site, and you know, some people working a desk where you can pay and collect rent and stuff like that. I kind of avoid that. I would just get A class or B class single family homes in nice areas where a rental tenant would have the tendency to want to stay there a long time. So you got to be very careful what you pick. I have a list of some of my ideal rental criteria, things that I look for. And I just take my time with the real estate. And it's a safe way to park money somewhere, and you get lots of benefits. You get depreciation, you get appreciation, you get cash flow. And for tax purposes, when you have a higher income, you'll be able to use deductions like business expenses to help bring down some of that taxable income that you're going to have as you make more and more in your career. I don't care what anybody says, real estate is like the best time-tested investment vehicle. I know we're all into like, you know, paper assets and investing in the stock market, mutual funds, Roth IRAs, CDs, and all this stuff. Sure, you can do some of that. I wouldn't go all in on that, because it's weird to me, because people say, oh, diversified portfolio. It's all in paper assets in the market and stuff. There's nothing in hard assets. They don't have anything invested in a business like a brick and mortar, no real estate. They don't have like gold or like collectibles, art and stuff. Everything's just in the market. That's not diversified in my opinion. But that's just some food for thought. Don't listen to me. Definitely with your own path in life, and vet it through your mentors and your dad and everything, and go your own route. That's just something that I would like to share with you. What do you think of that? Anything jumped out?
No, honestly, what you said is actually, it sounds actually perfect. I mean, one of the book recommendations he gave to me was The Richest Man in Babylon, which I've been reading actually. And funny enough, so when if you do recall, when I first started reading it, recently, I'm like, okay, so I'm doing some of the steps that, you know, he's mentioning. And you just mentioned crypto, and I did at one point in time, putting my shoe in my mouth right now, invest in crypto and like lost it all. And I'm just like, wow. I have become, I think the character's name was Arkad, or I think his name was, where he saved up all his money for like a year, then just threw it into the wind. And I'm just like, wow, that was me. So that's why I put it all into like, you know, the banks, because, you know, the banks for now, I mean, they're the safest place as of right now to store money. But what you said is definitely makes sense. You know, having that income, that continuous income, which is having that single family home rented out to a family. They generate, you know, the profit from it, you know, it pays off the mortgage, and then some for, you know, rainy days or something like that, when you have to do some maintenance on the house, or when you want to, you know, eventually at the end of the year, just take the family out for vacation.
Yeah. And also, if you want to have kids, it's a good way to leave an inheritance to your children, which, for me, I grew up poor. My dad was Cuban, so he came from another country, but my mom's a hillbilly from Tennessee. You know, we didn't amount to, like, they didn't get a chance to amount to much, but they came up from where they were originally. And I, you know, moving up a little bit, I would hope my kids would continue the trend and move up. And I want to help them because I know things are getting more expensive. People complain about the housing prices now. Back in the day, houses, you could buy a whole entire nice house in a nice community for $50,000. You could buy cars for $5,000. That trend with inflation is just going to continue. What we think is expensive now, a $500,000 house and like a $50,000 car. Imagine cars being hundreds of thousands of dollars and homes being in the millions. That's the future that we're going. If you don't help your kids along, they're going to be really priced out of the market completely. Right now, we still have hope, you know?
Most definitely, and I definitely believe you. And the question there, so like with that buying the single family home in that nice area, and I definitely agree with you. That's why I'm actually looking in the Polk County area because it's starting to develop. What you mentioned, you know, something not too old. What year should I be looking at for a home?
Well, for me here in Florida, I like to look at stuff that's built after 2000s. You know, they got pretty good codes here with hurricanes, so they make the houses pretty sturdy, but I would prefer a one story with a block structure or block exterior. I have a whole ideal rental property checklist that I can send you. I'll email it to you, and it basically puts in stuff like that more than I can just recall from memory. I spent a lot of time and try to like list out everything, so I'll share that with you off the record. Maybe I can put a link somewhere underneath the video. If anybody watches this, they might be interested in seeing it too. But yeah, you got the right frame of mind. The cool thing about rental property is it's an income producing hard asset, which means it's giving you money only on a monthly basis. I don't care what you put your money into, like paper assets, like a dividend stock, you don't get much dividend unless you put hundreds of thousands of dollars into a stock. And I knew a guy, I worked in the Middle East a lot. That's where I was able to make a higher income. And there was this one guy, I remember his call sign was Ginger. He's been contracting for, I want to say like 15 years, making like six figures, maybe even more off and on. And he's just continuously put his money in dividend stocks. And he told me last year that he only has one more year. And then he's finally going to get to a point where he's going to make $60,000 a year off of dividends only. So imagine he made six figures for the majority of his like career, 15 years, call it 10, 15. You're just pouring all your money into these dividends. Then one day in the future, you can live on a $60,000 income. And that's not adjusted for inflation. You can't call up your stocks and be like, hey, you know, it's getting, you know, tight out here. I need some more dividends. You gotta increase the dividends. No, it doesn't work that way. They could lower them if they wanted to. But with your rental properties, when things start costing more, you can increase your rents to the market, but the opposite does happen. When the market goes down, you're gonna have to decrease your rents. But I like the idea of living like a fish in a fish tank. You're always getting fresh water poured in when you're cash flow, and you live within your means, and that water adjusts with the inflation in the future. And you can leave it behind to your kids, and they could potentially, hopefully, keep the income producing asset continuing forward. When you have, you know, you got inheritance and you inherit a bunch of stocks, it's real easy to hit the sell button and then you just waste that money.
For sure. No, you're not wrong. I mean, as soon as like a stock hits like, you know, something where you're like, oh man, this looks like a down payment for a new car, out of you, you know, like those Tesla boys.
Yeah, and you know how it seems like I get a sense that you have a big heart and you want to help people. I like the idea of rentals because you actually are helping somebody on a smaller scale. So one of my properties, a young college athlete, she was like a track star. She moves into one of our properties, and I remember going through the leasing process, and her mom and dad were very involved. This was their one, you know, pride and joy, their daughter. She's going off on her own. And I saw them come down and, you know, help her move in and everything. And then she's like off to start her life. And she's been with us for like 4 years now. And I really feel like I'm providing a safe place for her. Her parents come down. I do the management in a very professional way, very fair. And when things break, we can't have a home warranty, and she gets stuff taken care of. And I feel like I'm serving her and her family. When you just put money in funds and on in accounts and you log in, you look at it, yeah, it looks cool. It's a number on a screen, but you're not helping anybody directly. You're not serving anybody. So I do like that aspect as well when you're investing in real estate. And another benefit to that is you don't just want to kick somebody out when you want to sell. You can't just hit the sell button. You got a family in there living their life. You don't want to uproot them and say, hey, yeah, get out. I'll give you 30, 60 days and I'm going to sell it. I want you guys gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's honestly not really good.
No.
Yeah.
I know landlords get a bad rap and stuff. Like some people think that they're greedy and stuff like that, but then that's not the case with all of them. Have you ever considered like real estate, being a landlord in the future until now? Like in the past, have you considered talking to people?
Oh, for sure. No, this has always been like an idea of mine. My parents, they did it before. That's how they live. That's how they live off their residual income. They tried to put that mindset into me, and this is something that, for the young guys out there, the 18, 19, you go to college, all these beautiful girls around you, college, nice car, finally, if it's not a Corolla or a Camry, parties, drinking, all the fun. That was the mindset at like 18, 19, graduating high school, going into college. Like, I don't need a house. I, rent and just, party for like the rest of my life. 24, 25 hits. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, I should have probably bought the house.
Yeah.
So for sure, no, this being a landlord has definitely been on my mind. And I don't want to be, and like you said, the landlords that just come in like, hey, you got 30, 60 days, get out of here. No, I don't want to be like that landlord. I'm a historian, if one thing for sure, like that's one of my hobbies. And like, how the monarchs back in the day, there was monarchs that were just absolute downright just terrible to the people that they let live on their land. Like, hey, I don't like you being here, either religious or background, anything at all. Or they just wanted, something from the families, and they would just kick them off the land just like that, uproot them. And then that's where we have the nomads, like these people just were traveling around Europe or Africa or Australia in some sense. And they just keep getting kicked off by these monarchs. For me, I feel like the only way to set a good example for the future generation is to be the good landlord. Because as you generate more income and you buy more properties, which the 2 to 3 properties, in my opinion, it's definitely like a safe area to be in. But in the case of just like, hey, you got nothing better to do, finally have the career, finally did the long-term goals, built that bridge, let's buy more properties so I can, when the families come here, they need a place to stay while they get their life situated, they have a home to stay in. And then I can help, like you said, you have that college girl that's in your home. She's been in there for 4 years, right? You can, it's just like you're providing her that mentality, like, then my landlord's been pretty nice to me for 4 years, and I like this safe place that I'm in. Maybe in the future she'll think too, like, when she gets married and she's like, hey, I kind of been thinking I had a really nice landlord and he gave me this opportunity to live somewhere nice. I want to do the same for someone else, some other girl who's an athlete who just wants to get her education and wants to be in a safe place. And she doesn't want to go into these apartments where obviously there's drinking, drugs, all the bad things you can name that the Bible says not to do.
Yeah.
They could provide that in that home where her family can visit. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, when I was in college, I sweat every time when my parents just said they're coming over. I'm just looking at my roommates like, guys, this is not the way. I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now because they keep it clean. We have that same mentality. We want our sisters to be able to come over every now and then and just hang out, play video games. What good is a place is if your sister can't use the bathroom because it's pretty messy. Yeah. We're at a good spot. So yeah, no, I see that mentality, and I want, and while I'm building that bridge, maybe in the future, I want to expand it a little bit more and be like, the philanthropist that you said that you kind of see in me. I want to be able to present that American dream so that people can take that American dream back to the country of my parents' home, not England because they already have it, but for Haiti, and be able to reconstruct it into something beautiful. That place where in the 1960s where it was actually beautiful before, it could become again.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff. There's so much good little nuggets in the conversation. I really appreciate it. I don't know how long we've been talking. I don't want to go too long with this. I appreciate your time. The last little bit here that I have is like, I thought we were gonna have a different conversation, but you're much further along. I was thinking like, all right, if I could give like 3 kind of recommendations. I already went into the real estate stuff and investing in hard assets, income producing hard assets, but like, just like, I guess try to be like, increase your financial education as much as possible. Read like real estate investing books like Rich Dad Poor Dad and stuff like that, and just podcasts and dive into that. Self-study, because the school system and there's not really much that you can learn. If you go to traditional financial education resources and stuff, like if you go on some brokerage and you start reading and taking quizzes, they're going to continuously try to filter you into their mutual funds, their insurance, their life insurance, and all this stuff they're wanting to sell you. So they kind of have a bias, and they're going to direct you to what they want to make money off of you. So I kind of would be like, hey, you're going to have to learn on your own. And, when you get to that level and you want to invest in that stuff, sure, go ahead and talk to them, but you definitely want to be educated to a certain degree. Same thing with real estate investing. I recommend doing your own property management and learning it at some point, so when you do hire, if you do outsource it. I don't do that, but when you outsource it to a property manager, you can tell if they're doing a good job or not. And honestly, nowadays with technology, I don't think people, even a small scale landlords, even need middlemen like property managers. You should be able to do it all by yourself. But just keep debt as low as possible. Try not to have kids out of wedlock, out of wedlock, and no crime and all that stuff. Drive the speed limit, just the normal stuff that I think that you got. And then that would be number 1, all those random things. 2 would be like, keep doing what you're doing, increasing income, working more hours, advancing your career. I mean, expert. I bet your parents are proud of you. And then number 3 would be like, save up for that down payment on your first property and purchase with a landlord perspective. And I'll send you my ideal rental kind of list that I got. I think it's called Ideal Rental Checklist. And just maybe ponder that and just keep going. I look forward to you, going off in society and getting married, having kids. You're going to be very productive. You're going to serve a lot of people. And also, I want to recommend another book to you.
For sure.
I got a couple of books. Have you read the Bible?
Yes, I actually, I'm reading it again right now.
Okay. I listen to it like once every year on Audible, but there's another book that I took a gamble on. It's called Business Secrets from the Bible. Man, it's awesome to hear this rabbi. It's based off of ancient Jewish wisdom, and a lot of Jews are known for being really good with finances and stuff. There's a whole bunch of, it's a wealth of knowledge. You really got to read that one. And then How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. I forget. I'll get the titles and send it to you. Mm-hmm. And The Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then also, if you're thinking about getting married, you need to read the 5 love languages, because, you need to know that there's different love languages that ladies have, and you got to make sure you're doing the right one. Have you read any of those books besides the Bible?
No, I haven't read any of those, and I definitely need the 5 love languages, because in and out of relationships.
Oh yeah, you need that.
I have the bachelor mindset, and so yeah, definitely need that. But for sure, on the other recommendations, I'd love to hear about. I agree with you. Like, when it comes to the Jewish community, they definitely understand how money works and how to keep it in the family, and how to use it correctly. So for sure, I'd love to hear what that rabbi has to say.
Absolutely, man. You're awesome, Jeremy. Do you got anything for me? Is there any way I could help you besides, sending you that checklist and these other book recommendations?
Honestly, I think the best thing that you're doing right now is setting this up where you can show, the future kids, like, hey, this is the conversations I had, this is the people I met, and this is the wisdom I want to impart in you. This is great. And then at the same time, ever since you gave me that book recommendation list, you're the only person as well. That was the first person. You were the first person to do that. I've actually turned what you've done into my own way of showing love towards my friends, my family, and everyone else that I really feel like they can make it in life. So instead of getting gift cards and or toys and stuff like that, I buy a book that I've read and I know and I personally know that that person will benefit from them. And that book, The Richest Man in Babylon, I have to say, is definitely a recommendation that I am so happy that you gave to me. So thank you so much, Renee.
Oh, you were welcome, man. Thank you, brother. I mean, I love the conversation. And dude, this is so cool. I really appreciate you jumping on a live and having this, so I can document it and show my son, my daughters and stuff. And this is what I think more people should do. Take the risk, have the conversation, you're younger than me by like 10. I'm 38 and you said you're 28. Yeah.
Yes, 28.
So 10 years gap. So you got such a huge head start. You're in a really good career. You're going to make your income potentials way beyond me. So I can't imagine the good that you're going to do. Hopefully there's young kids when you're getting my age and you're pouring into them and helping them out.
Right on, for sure. I can't wait for that to happen, and love to throw the old baseball with the little son sooner or later.
Yeah, you'll be a great dad. All right, Jeremy, I'm going to end the live. I appreciate everybody that watched, and continue the trend. I encourage you to go out and have a conversation and share what you know with somebody else. See you later.
Right on. Have a good one, guys.